Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Bama Standard Post Game Show. We are live as always on a Sunday night, coming into your living room or wherever your mobile device may be carrying you. Before we get started, I want you to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because it means a lot to us. And we're almost at 2,000 subscribers on this channel. So, you folks who are in the live chat, help us out if you've not already subscribed. If you hadn't already subscribed, shame on you. But we are brought to you as always by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. I'm Justin Riley, and with me, as always, is the living legend, the man that carries this show, who brings the straight facts, and who coined the phrase "Hugging Henry." Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen, the Honorable Coach Smook. What's
man.
going
Put
on,
some
sir?
respect on that hugging Henry, boy. I appreciate that. I've been seeing it thrown around lately, bro. I'm like, okay, you right, bro. You text me, you say you should. I should have copyrighted. I should have, but hey,
I'm
we
telling
Bama.
you,
What's mine's is y'all's, man.
and people just using that freely like it's theirs now.
hey,
I had to let you know, you better put a trademark or a copyright behind that, because
hey,
that's some marketing material right there. You could print up T-shirts. I'd buy them.
man. Look, I don't think I care to remember him that much. After he done this year, we could let it go, man. So y'all have fun with it wherever you at. Hugging Henry. You only got a few more games to live on in the Alabama nation. So
Yes, if he can take his talents to Dancing with the Stars, because
something.
that's what the hugging portion of Senior Henry will be good
Mm-hmm.
for. But yes,
Mr.
but
Build a
yeah,
Bear.
Mr. Build a Bear, soft, cuddly.
Just tiptoeing toe toe. I like that one, Jessica. Tiptoeing toe toe.
So I feel like Henry Toa should be like a emotional support animal.
Something, man. It's just not a football player. Let's get that established. That's
But you
not.
know what? He tried, though. Sometimes you guys take a leap of faith, and sometimes the victory is not found in winning. The victory is found in the trying. And well, he got his victory in his trying. So there we go.
I guess so.
But all right, we're being petty. And
Yeah. Let's,
remember, guys, if this is your first time tuning in, we are not a politically correct show. So if you're expecting us to sugarcoat and be nice, then you probably need to go somewhere else, because this
yeah.
is not the place for you. But if you're here for straight facts and pettiness and just reality, hey, welcome home.
Yes. Welcome. Welcome.
Jessica, he needs some cocaine and energy drinks before the game.
Nah, we don't need him to have that. We don't need him on that now. You look like one of them head bashers, man. If you mess around, get on that type of stuff, breaking the wrong thing before the game. We just need him to tackle somebody every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like at this point, you know what, Justin? And I hate to lead off like this. At this point, I don't expect Toa to make a tackle every time he's in that situation. I expect him to make it like maybe 20% of the time, because he might catch a guy he might catch a guy catching a ball in bad traffic, and that's his opportunity, or maybe he might have just slipped off of another tackle. I expect him to show up then. But one on one, we know what's happening, guys. It's
Yeah,
sad.
we do.
It's like everybody. I mean, even the defense, like offensive coordinators, know if they could get to the second level, if they could get Toa distracted with a little bit of contact, all they need to do is chip him, because he's going to make that chip look like a full pancake block. Like I mean, it's just ridiculous how this guy, he doesn't shed blocks, doesn't fill holes. Like he can't cover the perimeter when he's one on one with the running back. He can't cover the flats. It's like, why are you even out there? You're not directing that good, hugging Henry. So yeah,
And we'll get to specifics
yeah,
in the game as we go. But I want to lead off with, this year has been really odd, just a different feel altogether. There's talks of anxiety. We've played 10 games. There's no identity, no dominant wide receivers established. Nick Saban saying expectations were just too high. And probably the weirdest thing of all, I think it's really thrown everything off, is we haven't had Eli Gold, and people seem to be forgetting that's just a vital part of the whole Alabama season. But hearing Nick Saban say that the expectations may have been too high just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And every now and then Nick Saban will make statements like that where you're just sitting there thinking, did that really just come out of his mouth? Because the reality is, if you come to Alabama, the expectation is high, and it is to play for a national championship and win a national championship year in and year out. If it's not, then you go somewhere else. But what I'm looking at is the talent level that we had coming in. We had so many talented guys coming on the defensive side of the ball. The preseason hype that this could possibly be the best defense in the Saban era. The Heisman Trophy winner coming back, and so much hyping all of us up to believe, this is going to be a national championship year. But then he turns around and says, you know what? We shouldn't have been feeling that way. Shame on y'all, the fans, for putting that kind of pressure on our guys. And we have not lived up to that expectation. And now in press conferences, we're getting excuses. Going into this game, I had questions, as I'm sure you did, Coach Smook. I wasn't sure which team was going to show up this week. Would they play to the Bama standard, or would they play like a team that has nothing to play for, a wounded animal? Would they just be going through the motions? And I didn't really have a good feeling when I initially saw the guys coming out of the locker room. Man, it looked like they're the bunch of guys getting together about to walk to class, not walking to a war. So that
Right.
didn't really strike me very well. You know, before we kind of jump into things, man, kind of give me your feel on what I just talked about.
Justin, I was gonna talk about just the overall feel myself, man. It just like I said last week, I didn't know what to expect coming in, being that we suffered a big time loss against LSU. This team has yet to show the type of discipline on the road to go in and dominate. We've literally won two games against ranked opponents in their house, and when I say ranked opponents, like I believe Texas at the time when we played them, they were ranked still. I'm not sure. I don't think they were top 10, but I know they were ranked. And then we couldn't do it against LSU. Um it didn't I didn't know what to feel. We couldn't do it against Tennessee. And you got to think both of those games were lost late in the game, like in crunch time, where Alabama usually would assume control of the game. We are always used to Alabama being a third quarter team, and this season we hadn't had it in our road games, and it wasn't something that nobody as a Alabama fan is used to. I mean, even before Saban, Alabama always had an identity
They
at this
did.
point of the season, and we knew what we were going to be. This year we have so much talent. You kind of just kept banking on, like, okay, they'll wake up this week, late bloomer, they'll wake up this week. Like Mississippi State game, I thought we had found something. I thought we had found something, and then to go into the bye week and come back out against LSU like we did, um, we allow LSU to take that game from us. I don't care what you say. Play
Yeah.
calling offensively took it from us. Um, and then just defensive, just being gassed during the LSU game. And we were close to having the same thing happen against Ole Miss. We had our
Yeah.
defense out there early and often, because of offensive play calling and lack of offensive production. And so it was like some of the same things still happen. But this time Ole Miss just couldn't capitalize like teams in previous, So um we kind of came out like I expected. I didn't feel like this team. I still don't feel like they're bought in. I feel like they're kind of reeling right now and coming
Yeah.
to some. There's a lot of egos being checked. There's a lot of reality setting in for a lot of these guys who chose Alabama, because of the hype and everything, and even for some of the transfers and the guys that stuck it around for another year because they felt like they had an opportunity to be an impact this year, such as Christian Leary or um, who else is on the sideline? Trayshawn Holden, he could have transferred. Like guys like that had every reason to transfer, or to announce that they were going to transfer after they lost to LSU, after we lost to LSU. But they sticking around, and to not see those guys getting opportunities, it's kind of saddening. But there was a little bright spot with seeing, guys like Kendrick Law get an opportunity, Kobe Prentice
Absolutely.
put it on the spot, Jace McClellan getting the real opportunity to run the ball, Roydell Williams getting a real opportunity to be impact, be an impact player again. Offensive line getting an opportunity to run block more than 10 times a game. Like, yesterday showed a little promise into what our future holds, but as far as coming in, like I want to say what showed up is what I expected, what I would want to show up. It took a little while to develop, but I
Yeah.
feel like the guys finally got a little fire under their tail when, they saw how this game could impact not just the game, but the rest of the season. I felt like that kind of triggered for these guys, especially on defense. Defense played pretty good up until, a point where they just were gas, and I don't
Yeah.
want I can't blame them. They're playing a lot of snaps as of late because of this offensive play calling and execution. So yeah, that's probably where I stand at.
Yeah. In terms of execution and the offensive side of the ball, you kind of wondered, are the players buying into Bill O'Brien? Are they trusting Bill O'Brien? And I've said this a lot this weekend, that when it comes to the play calling for Bill O'Brien, I feel like somebody puts a blindfold over him, spin around 3 times, and he takes a dart and just throws it wherever it lands. That's what he's going to be calling at that moment. There's really no rhyme or reason behind what he's putting on the field. And it's the exact opposite of the coach on the other side of the field, Lane Kiffin, and even the Steve Sarkisian. Those guys have a methodology. They have a why behind every play. One play or 2 plays are being run to set up the next 3 or 4 plays. They're playing chess. It's calculated, it's precise. But also they're calling plays to specifically fit the talents of the personnel. Whereas Bill O'Brien is just throwing stuff out there, and to be quite honest, he's just banking on Bryce to bail him out. Whereas Pete Golding on the other side, honestly, is just relying on Will Anderson to be Mr. Everything there. And again, yesterday, Bryce Young was doing Bryce things, and he was overcoming a lot of bad play calling. And hey, I think Bill O'Brien had an aha moment because, and why I say that, guys, because in the second half, late in the game, we're handing the ball to Jace McClellan,
I didn't
who
believe
is
it.
pounding, taking their souls away from them, imposing his will, being dominant. And I felt like that fired him up because finally coach said, you know what, Jace, I trust you. And
Yeah.
I hate that Jameer was out, but this allowed Jace to be front and center and for his talents and abilities to be utilized as they should have been the entire year. And he really carried the team in the second half and put us in position to where we could take control of the game. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Let's
Mm.
kind of go back to the beginning. In the first half, as we mentioned before, I just kind of felt like we lacked that passion. It kind of felt like we were going through the motions, like we didn't want to be there. We're getting run over and run through. Quinshawn Judkins, hey, hats
Hats off to
off.
him, man.
He is a beast, man. He runs a slap over, and who's the first person that he runs slap over? Do you ask? Oh, none other than
Dun, 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 dun. Like,
Huggin Henry.
this
You
guy.
win, and I mean he did, and then Quinshawn mocks us with the crane kick. And that didn't even seem to phase us. We were just kind of withdrawn, going through the motions. But the thing that really kept us there was Ole Miss started giving gifts.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, fourth down, he decided to go with analytics as always, and we stop them. Okay, that's points off the board, puts us in favorable position. And hey, Bill O'Brien had another epiphany. We throw a slant to Jermaine Burton, score. And again, I feel like we're kind of back into it, but we're not kind of back into it. Ole Miss does Ole Miss things again. Huggin Henry actually made a hit, jarred the ball loose from Zach Evans, and we pick up the ball and we convert, we score. And next thing you know, it's 17-14. and we're getting life. We actually start acting like we want to be in Oxford, Mississippi, but it wasn't quite there. But the turning point was, and something we've been begging in terms of leadership happened, begging for. Bryce Young cusses everybody out on that sideline. Well, I guess I say cuss out.
No, he was cussing. I read them lips very well.
Okay, good. Okay, I was gonna
As
say. I
much as
mean,
that young man uses
he's a man.
chapstick, and
Yeah.
bro, I've never seen a football player. I don't know if anybody else noticed it in Bama Nation. Bryce Young, he needs a chapstick deal. That boy is every time the camera's on him on the sideline. I mean, at the beginning of the season when it was hot, now that it's cool, this boy keeps that chapstick on. Yesterday, he put on that chapstick and got over there in that huddle, and he was cussing. I seen him and Saban cussing.
What is funny is that the Saban kind of tried to poke in the little cussing section, but then he kind of turned around. I was like, "Damn, okay,
Bryce, yeah, like well, I need to say, and that felt good to see that. I mean, and it felt good to see that, Justin. I mean, like to see, just a little bit of energy on the sideline, and then I saw, even in the game day chat, man, it was like, people were like, man, look at the sideline. When the defense came out in the second half, after the offense couldn't convert, man, I think it was the first or the second drive, the offense didn't convert. And the defense was on the sideline after they made the play, man. Just the whole sideline was hyped for a good little 30 seconds, man. It looked like we had some energy. And I hate that it took all the way to the end of the third quarter. Like, I remember when Bama used to show up in somebody else's houses and treated it like it was theirs. Like, we're gonna walk all over your field, we're gonna celebrate, we're gonna talk trash, we're gonna hit you in the mouth. Like, it took too long for that type of energy to show up. And I believe if we start off that Ole Miss game like that, we don't have a lot of those lucky plays or those, them hugging Henry getting ran over, for scores. And and I get tired of people blaming the defensive line. I don't think people understand the type of defensive, the concept that we play up front. We play gap responsibility, two gap responsibility. You know how strong and how agile you have to be as a defensive lineman to play that at an efficient rate. And a lot of times that scheme is successful and looks successful because those guys up front can contain both gaps that they're assigned to, and the linebackers are making plays in the backfield by taking that gap that's not the in front of them. What's their responsibility in front of them? They're shooting the other gap and making the plays in the backfield, not waiting for the play to come through the line to them. And that's where our defense is looking weak at. It's not that Jaheim Otis, Jamil Barrow, Tim Smith, Byron Young, all those guys, it's not that they're not handling the trenches. These guys are, if you're going to look at the plays, they cause a lot of the fallout that you want in gap scheme. They cause a lot of fallout up front. They may not be knocking guys all the way to the backfield, but they're causing a lot of them washouts and fallouts. It's just we don't have the guy in the middle making the plays that you would usually see. That's why guys like Reuben Foster and Khalil Mack, and I mean not Khalil Mack, Mac Wilson, and all those guys like that. That's why they made a lot of plays in the backfield, because they weren't scared to shoot those gaps that they were responsible for after they made their read and make plays in the backfield. That's the difference, plain and simple, from the front all the way to the secondary. That second level is probably your most important when you talk about controlling the run game, making guys respect your gap scheme. Like, the middle linebackers are important.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I tell you, someone who was very important yesterday, and you mentioned the defensive line, and he's been kind of overshadowed here as of late, which is kind of crazy because of the level of play that he is giving us right now. It's Byron Young.
Yes.
Byron Young was a difference maker yesterday. He had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and those sacks came at critical moments. He was batting down balls, just imposing his will. And for the love of God, people need to start talking about him, because he really just kind of dictated how the flow of that game went defensively. And he put a stop to a lot of things that Ole Miss was just imposing upon us in the first half. Now, was everything perfect in the second half? No, not really. But he kind of corralled a lot. But
yes.
And then beyond him, guys, I know Will Anderson deserves a lot of credit, because Will Anderson is once in a lifetime talent, generational guy like a Derek Thomas, but put some respect on Brian Branch's name.
Yes. Brian
Brian
Branch.
Branch was a one-man wrecking crew again yesterday. And if he's not present in a lot of those plays, guys, might be a different outcome
Yeah.
for us. He he is the least talked about best player on that defense. Why?
I don't know, man. And it's like he saves DeMarco Hellum so much and Jordan Battle. He saved those guys so much because and I think more so DeMarco Hellums. You know, DeMarco Hellums, he might, and I hate to get into this like fan type of talk. Like when I see fans talk about, like, certain personnel need to be placed somewhere. But I feel like DeMarco Hellums for what this defense has to do and how everybody has been attacking the middle, I feel like you can walk Hellums down and be your will linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Like he could be your weak side linebacker and move Deontay Lawson or Jalen Mooley to the middle, put them at the mic. And you could bring Malachi Moore, whatever DB, probably throw Arnold back there at safety. Somebody that can actually cover, may not be a great man cover corner, but I feel like Arnold would be more rangy and more effective because he has great break on his ball speed. I mean, he can track the ball when he's not having to play, the back shoulder. Like Arnold played like a cornerback who still lost. When he had to make the play one-on-one in the end zone, he made the play. He tracked the ball on the quick slant. He's a man cover guy, but I feel like if you taught him the responsibilities, didn't Arnold come in as a free safety when he got recruited? Wasn't he a safety? He just moved to corner in the offseason
because of need. Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, if anybody had a trial by fire, it was last night, one of those teachable moments on tape. And he is very talented. He's just not quite there yet. And he's only going to get better. But, I'm not trying to cut him some slack, but I think he's probably not where he's supposed to be.
It's a hard transition in this type of defense, man. Like you got to think they started this year trying to not impose but implement those advanced tactics of cornerbacks making reads, and if the cornerback makes a man read, the safety has to be on the same page, and that's where we saw a lot of disconnect when Arnold got exposed against Texas. The switch release was killing this guy, man. This against Tennessee, the switch release was killing this guy. Our defense, not just Arnold, but our defense. And I don't think guys fully grasp the concept enough to be fluent in it. And it's sad to say, but you have two safeties that are looking more lost than your corners, your younger corners that are being put out there. And when Eli Ricks went down, I didn't see much of a different game plan from Lane Kiffin. I believe Lane Kiffin was going to try whoever was on that side because Heath is just that good of a wide receiver. I believe he was going to give him his chances. That's just the type of coordinator Lane Kiffin is. But it's hard to judge a guy when he's being thrown in the spot like that. But at the same time, you don't give him no slack because this ain't game 4. This ain't game 5. This is the 10th game, the 10th week of the season. We're in the season. You've had the practice reps, you've had the game reps, you've been exposed here, you've had the film time, you've had the game time. Like it's just, what are you going to do to be better? What are you going to do to not be exposed on that level? And you don't see a lot of people trying to Kool-Aid as much. He makes his mistakes early and he gets better throughout the game. I will give him that.
I don't think they even mentioned his name last night. That means he was doing his job. I didn't see them going towards his side of the field for anything. And, last night we had an opportunity to see new faces, one on the defense and one on the offensive side. And we're going to touch on a little bit. On the defensive side of the ball, Devontae Smith made an appearance. And he played significant reps. And he showed that he belonged back there. He made an impact. I liked seeing him. But on the offensive side of the ball, he's not new, but we finally get him in the rotation. And that's Kendrick Law.
Yes.
Very solid last night. made key catches. And I'm watching him and I'm watching his game. First of all, the guy is a physical specimen. Why are we not getting him the ball more? I feel like these younger guys get the assignment, they understand, and I think they're ready. But for whatever reason, we're not pulling the trigger, and it makes no sense to me because from the veterans, we're just not getting anything. I will say we are getting consistency out of Ja'Cory Brooks, and hats off to him last night.
Yeah.
Second half, he made critical catches. He did some big things, the extended drives, and that touchdown in the back of the end zone, very nice. I applaud
Very
you,
nice.
Mr. Brooks. But if I'm going to keep anybody in this receiver rotation, this upperclassman, it's Brooks. Everybody else, scrap it.
Don't forget JoJo Earl. JoJo Earl got a late start this season.
Yeah, him
He's
too.
getting his game legs back under him, game time, speed. JoJo Earl is probably the most important receiver we have. He's literally been looked off so many times. For what reason, I don't know. It's so many plays, man, where Bryce is extended plays for no reasons when he could literally throw JoJo Earl open on the deep crosser. And a lot of times we don't even get to see it because of the type of route concepts and matches that we put on the field. But JoJo Earl, he beats inside. I haven't seen JoJo Earl get shut down inside yet. I've seen him looked off so many times, though. I've seen Bryce Young not anticipate him opening up in the third window, and the guy has the speed. If you lead him, if he's cutting across and he's crossing behind the linebacker in front of the safety, I'm taking JoJo Earl being led into that open area over any safety crashing down or any linebacker dropping back and keeping up with him. That's just me personally. And if I have the arm talent that Bryce Young has, I'm taking that chance at least 2 or 3 times when it's presented, especially when they showing you soft man, when the nickel corner or the safety is walking up and only playing like 9 yards, giving them a 9-yard cushion. You give me JoJo Earl a 9-yard cushion with anybody, whether you bracketing him or not. If your primary is 9 yards off him, I'm giving it to JoJo every time. Either we're going to check to a quick hitch off the line because of that much space, or I'm gonna let the O-line is protecting. The O-line is giving Bryce 4 seconds. You know what I'm saying? That's JoJo Earl only needs 2.3, 3.5 seconds to get across the formation. So and I believe it all comes down to that the design, play design is trash. And when we do get to it, when we do get in depth to it later on, I'm gonna draw out this play for everybody, and I want y'all to see this play because it was ran 14 times as a pass play last night. 14 times.
You are getting my curiosity worked up right now.
Oh my God.
I kind of want you to go ahead and get to that. I'll tell you what, before you do that, you mentioned the offensive line. I did want to bring up something in regards to them. Not very consistent yesterday, but they played all right. They got bull rushed and just whipped up front in the first half. Second half, they start cleaning up. I will say, I got to give Eric Wolford props because there has been one major improvement this year as opposed to last. We have allowed 30 less sacks this year than last. We allowed 43 sacks last year. This year, only 13. Had to give praise to what Eric Wolford has done there, finding the right pieces, putting them in there. Are they a work in progress? Absolutely. But there is a positive movement going on, and I got to applaud those men up front for doing that. J.C. Latham, Seth McLaughlin, Javion Cohen, just all the guys across the board.
Ekior had 2 pancakes in the drive that were just critical, man. And it was because
one was just so beautiful, man.
And you heard it before you saw it. That's what was beautiful about it. You heard it before you saw it. You heard the pop. And then you look like to the left of your screen and you see this guy just getting decleated, man. And it felt good because not only did he clean it up, But when he pancaked him, he had his head up looking further downfield to make another block. And you see, man, I haven't seen that many downfield blocks from our offensive line in a long time. I mean, guys like Tyler Steen trying to get downfield and make blocks. Cohen, who's always, if Cohen's effort and his motor was at 100% all the time or 100% effort, I think he could be that next dominant Alabama offensive lineman. And that's something big for him being at the guard position. Like, I think guard has probably been our soft suit for the past 2 to 3 years. So you get somebody aggressive with his size, like Cohen. If he can channel that for next season, because he's only a sophomore this year, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cohen next year, if he could channel that aggressive, if that attitude can be pushed over across the whole line like an Ekior attitude, Ekior, he has that attitude. He gets nasty when he has the opportunities. I think our offense line is just put in so much pass pro that we have
Yeah.
yet to even see what they're capable of as far as being aggressive and dominating the trenches.
Right. Hey, and add Tyler Booker's name in there too,
Oh
man.
yeah, that kid,
He
he goes
yeah.
unmentioned. He goes unmentioned because it's just every snap he's been on the field, every opportunity he's had, he's made the most of it. And I believe that's the reason why he gets the nod over Latham. For a game like yesterday, where when we needed to impose the run game, you had Mr. Booker out there being nasty on the edge.
And
And
I think what allowed them to play better in the first half was rewarding them, allowing them to do what they do the best and call run plays. And for those of y'all don't understand, to an offensive lineman, they love run protection greater than pass protection. It gives them a chance to truly be that nasty, just bowl you over guy, man. The big nasties, the big uglies up front, the Alabama standard when it comes to offensive line. And we touched on a little bit earlier, but I didn't really get to hear your take. And I want you to kind of go in depth as to how critical was it to get Jace McClellan going in that second half.
it was very critical because a lot of people, I even see a comment in the chat, Corey Lewis talking about Tyler Steen does not sustain blocks. It's kind of hard to sustain blocks in the RPO, man. When you're getting RPO protection call from your quarterback, uh your assignment is to initiate the first read, as the weak side or the strong side read. You initiate the first read. So if you have somebody bringing pressure, you have to attack that pressure first, especially at the left tackle position. Everybody else kind of fails behind that, off because of the way the play design is. Tyler Steen, I believe he had a few mistakes like most offensive linemen do early, but Tyler Steen has been solid, man. He's been solid. But Jace McClellan attacking the hole and not waiting for things to develop is the difference between him and Jahmyr Gibbs, which
Mm-hmm.
is what I said from the beginning. We look at Jace McClellan because of the the flashiness that he played with last year before he got hurt. And then this year, the situations he's been put in is kind of like he's been like a Jahmyr Gibbs, 0.5 or whatever. But when those guys get opportunity to run physical, Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, those guys, they are the imposers. They are the ones bringing the pop. They're the ones hitting the holes early. They're creating holes by putting their foot in the ground and trying to hit the crease when it's a small crease. Jahmyr Gibbs does it well. He does it well, but it takes him a minute to get going because his first instinct is not to be a physically imposing running back. He's elusive. He has the speed to beat linebackers and DBs to the edge and get up the sideline. He has the elusiveness and the cutback ability, the vision to do it. But as far as being imposing and putting that foot in the ground and getting north and south, or getting north, we don't want him going south. He hasn't.
No.
That hasn't been his strong suit. So the fact that we were using Jace McClellan in that situation, the fact that we gave him I think it was 4 or 5 touches on a drive, where we saw success in the running game. That was very satisfying to see. And then it also plays with the run game. Also, falls on Bryce Young as a quarterback. If the defense has to respect your legs on the RPO, or they have to, if you carry out the fake, they have to respect it. Bryce Young, he gets too pretty sometimes back there in the RPO. When he's faking the handoff, you don't see him, carrying it through and then acting like he's, you see the RPO, the run quarterbacks after even after they hand it off, they give you a fake jab step as if they're about to take off. And it causes a slight freeze in that backside help or that backside containment. Instead of allowing backside containment, just crash down and wash everything out. You give your offensive line and your running back that extra split second to get ahead of the defense. And until those things are being done on a high level, we're going to continue to see our offense have to rely on single guys making plays for the team. And that's not how it should be. So you think about it. I think the offensive line did better than good yesterday. I'm not going to lie. A lot of those plays where we saw the offensive line get beat, it was just misfortune. You didn't see guys getting just wiped. You didn't see guys getting manhandled off the line. It was literally plays where Bryce could have, he could have made a quick read. He could have made a quick. He could have made the protection changes. They were really handling their job. Honestly, I think the offensive line did a good job. I can't complain about it. I think they're probably the only unit on the offense that's progressively gotten better on a consistent basis since the Texas game. They've consistently gotten better with the penalties and everything. You don't see a lot of the crazy penalties no more, and a lot of the holding penalties are saving Bryce from getting his head knocked off trying to create extra plays when he doesn't need to. So
absolutely. And you just mentioned a key thing, and I do want to get to the point you're going to make. You got me excited about it. We didn't have very many penalties yesterday. That's relatively unheard of us for a road game in a hostile environment. So play with much better discipline, better poise. That made a difference in the outcome of the game too. Say what you want about everything else, but that really allowed us to stay in this game and ultimately win the game. So now I want to give it to you. What were you going to talk about, man?
Okay, so play design, and everybody knows I'm driving that Fire Bill O bus, and it's simple because the play calling, you can have simple play calling, Justin, but when your simple play calling is allowing the defense to just really sit flat-footed and contain everything you're throwing out there, there's a problem to me. It was one play, I think it was 3rd and 7 in the second quarter. 3rd and 7. Yeah, it was 3rd and 7. We had Latu on the edge. From left to right, we had Latu at his H-back spot, tight end H-back spot. And then you had the trips to the right, which are wide receivers. All 3 wide receivers on the right ran hitches. Ja'Cory Brooks, he looked like he was trying to do a ceiling route. What we call a ceiling concept is if you have a DB on you, they're showing man, they're not showing, or they're playing soft man coverage or match zone, whatever. You try to see what you're getting a read based off your first 6 or 7 steps in your release. So Ja'Cory Brooks firing off the ball, boom, straight up the field, outside release because he's the outside receiver. DB sitting flat-footed. What you supposed to do when the DB when your defender sitting flat-footed? You're supposed to run past him. Okay. And I'm assuming that they're running read routes, and the guys aren't being taught how to read the defense properly because not one crosser was thrown on that 3rd and 7 when you have literally you have your number 1 defender on top of your number 1 receiver. You have your number 2 defender, which is your nickel corner or your dime safety walking down, somebody that shouldn't be covering your number 2 receiver who's usually playing slot. And you're handicapping yourself by putting Jermaine Burton as that number 2 receiver. Let's just get that out the way. You're handicapping yourself when you have guys like Kendrick Law, that you could put out there with JoJo Earl, gives you more speed, more consistent catching. I would even go as far as allowing Kobe Prentice and Isaiah Bonds be those number 2 receivers, those other slot receivers, because they create space. They just haven't been getting the looks. So you have 1 in Brooks, you have 2 in Burton, and then you have JoJo Earl as a slot receiver. And I believe on that 37, JoJo Earl made the decision late because you seen hitch, and then JoJo Earl opened up late to make the crosser after Latu runs a 12-yard dig. Like, why are you sending everything, making everything inside looks and waiting on your running back to flare out into the flats late and trying to make a play off of that? That is the easiest. If I'm guarding that, I'm playing a soft cover 2 because I know neither one of your receivers are being taught to aggressively attack the ceiling. Everybody's looking to turn around and sit and wait for Bryce to make a play, and then it's not going to work like that. So you got your hitch concept, and then when you do run your dig hitch concepts, you're not putting it on levels. You have a deep out from one slot and a dig from the other slot. Everything flowing one way to cross the front of the safeties, where they just able to sit on everything, man, and break on it. So when you talk about route concepts, it's horrible. The play design is horrible from Bill O'Brien. We haven't seen mesh patterns. Like, I remember Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle when they were the primary slot receivers, when Judy and Ruggs were the outside guys, and Calvin Ridley, late Calvin Ridley, early Four Horsemen era. Those guys, they were getting so much love with these route concepts because after those crossers crossed, you really had one-on-one on the outside. You had safeties having to watch the crossers underneath. That's what caused guys like Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy to be able to expose one-on-one coverage. Guys couldn't just sit and break on the ball. Bill O'Brien allows defenses just sit, not be reactive, but they just kind of sit there and control and absorb what they're being thrown because it's nothing extravagant. It doesn't make them think. They get to run basic cover 2 and cover 3 against a college offense, and it's probably the easiest thing they've done since middle school. A lot of these guys. So that's what the problem is, and just that play design, the hitches with the dig or the deep out. Like, the deep out is not even a deep out at times because the guys they're getting to the ceiling or they're getting to the sticks and they're turning outside towards the sideline, but they're not driving to the sideline. They're literally looking like they're running a comeback or a curl, whatever you want to call it. But they're not attacking the defense with their routes. And it's hard to do that when your corner can play 2 hitches, because they were being ran at the same depth, at the same speed. You don't have to cover as much. So let's just establish that it's not the wide receivers, because I've seen JoJo Earl come across that defense. And if Bryce just trusts and throws into the third window, it could be a big play. It could be something that the defense has to respect.
Absolutely. Sean, we have to understand Bill O'Brien is an NFL coach. NFL ball is about getting 10 yards. That's the goal. College football is about finding matchups. He is not Sark.
And my boy Sean was on it the whole game. It's like, it's sad that you have coaches, like, I'm at the high school level. I've been out of coaching for a year, but I still talk to my players. I still, give, advice here and there. But it's sad when you got guys like myself and Sean and everyday fans that can see obvious changes needed to be made. And I mean, it's small wrinkles. Even when you put your man in motion, don't let him get set. Snap it while he's in motion. Allow him to attack the flats in stride. Allow him to attack the flats in stride and hit it quick, Bryce. Stop looking it off. Give Isaiah Bonds a quick out. Give Isaiah Bonds the quick slant when he has it. I mean, Kobe Prentice, when you put him in motion and have him swing, bubble out to the left, give it to him quick. Stop allowing him to stop his motion and try to catch the ball. Give it to him. Put the ball in the athlete's hand. We got to hold Bryce Young accountable too. And I don't care if y'all get mad at me. Bryce Young does too much, too often. Too much, too often.
Yeah, in a way, I don't really blame him as much because he's been conditioned to be that way. Unfortunately, he feels like he has to do everything.
What are the greats good at? What are the greats good at? They're good at doing. The great quarterbacks are great at doing what's best for the team. Right. If you holding on to play a ball for 5-6 seconds, that's not on your O-line. That's not on your receivers. That's you. You're not looking. You're not giving the ball. There's no reason when you got guys like Jameer Gibbs and Jace McClellan chipping and release to the flats, the ball should be gone in 3 seconds. If you don't make the downfield read, get it to those athletes. Jace McClellan, Jameer Gibbs, they consistently make guys miss. They consistently run through tackles. I mean, they create plays when they catch the ball quick. And then, when you finally do give Jermaine Burton a pass, you're underthrowing them. You're throwing it late. You're throwing them into the zone instead of the guy sitting and you're trying to throw him into the zone. Like Bryce has been off the past 2 games. I don't know if it, like you said, that conditioned mindset is starting to become a little overwhelming. But we saw it calm down once they were able to lean on the run game in the second half. So if I'm coach Saban, if I'm Bill O'Brien, I learned from this game that okay, let's get the run game. Let's force the run game issue first before we start putting Bryce in uh uh Bryce mode. You know what I'm saying? In superhero mode in the second quarter. Like that. If Bryce is doing this in the third quarter consistently, awesome. That's usually when you need that from your quarterback because guys' legs are getting from under them. The defense is starting to feel the pressure a little bit, but it shouldn't be like that the first quarter. Every drop back shouldn't be like that. And a lot of times, like I said, Bryce he gets a primary read and he sticks to it for a second too long. And I still think, and I believe a lot of the people in the chat will understand. I still think he struggles reading the blitzes, checking off of blitzes, and to give him the nod or to pull the pressure off of him or to pull the blame off of him. I believe is how he's been conditioned, just like you said, Justin. Like there's no receiver being taught. If the inside man goes on my side, I go replace him. I don't see Latu replacing, the linebacker when they blitz. He's literally trying to a 4-6 guy trying to run a 12-yard hitch or a 12-yard out, 12-yard dig, and that's 5-6 seconds that a blitz is going to be there before 5-6 seconds. So
Cameron Latu, God bless him, he's so dang inconsistent. It's hard to put a whole lot of trust into him, but I'd like to take the remaining portion of our show to turn it over to you guys here in the chat. Start asking away. I've seen some things throughout this episode that definitely want to address. Jimmy Wilhelm asked above, who do we feel like is going to be the starting quarterback next year? Well, I think that all depends on who is going to be the offensive coordinator. I don't think that right now, based on what you saw earlier from Jalen Milroe, do you need to completely rule him out. I think that we need to make that decision on Jalen Milroe based upon having a competent coordinator.
Yes.
If you have a competent coordinator who can actually develop talent and also develop them at the right rate, it can do so much more. So if you have a Jalen Milroe who's being groomed, piece by piece, like Lane Kiffin did with Jalen Hurts or Steve Sarkisian did with Mac Jones, then you see a different Jalen Milroe. And like we mentioned earlier, you're designing plays according to what their skill set is. So I think we really can't make an accurate assessment on who the quarterback's going to be for next year until we know who our coordinator is going to be, and we determine that he's going to be that competent guy. What's your take on it?
And I'm right there with you, Justin. Like we make a lot of similar points when we talk about just personnel, and I think that comes from playing the game and understanding the game, not just from our position standpoint. Like when I played football, I made it my duty to know everybody's assignment. When I was at wide receiver, I knew if I had the quick hitch or what we call the Zulu screen or the X-ray screen. Like I knew who was coming out to block for me. I knew how the offensive line was coming out to block and what my lanes were. I knew like if something crazy was happening, if I caught a quick screen and I was just the running back is coming on the swing route, behind me, I knew that's some crazy play I could make. It was just those small things that I think we were so confident in our offensive coordinator that when we made plays like that, we knew what to expect, whether it was successful or unsuccessful. We knew what to expect. I don't feel like this team trusts Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator. I see the comments about Bryce, and like just imagine if we have to deal with Bill O'Brien trying to coach talent, baby Lamar. I call Jalen Milroe baby Lamar because if you think about it, Lamar Jackson in college, he didn't have the accuracy. He didn't have the arm confidence that he has now in the league that he's displaying now. But his last year in college, we saw him be put in positions to where he was able to be comfortable, getting him off platform, moving the pocket, putting him in rollout situations, play action, giving him the run option every play, So definitely our issue, our biggest question is going to be, do we get rid of Bill O'Brien and who do we bring in? I believe if Saban is in such a rebuild mode or such a managerial mode, a CEO mode, I feel like you bring in that young guy that's going to give you something different,
Yeah.
that that even Steve Sarkisian, something Sarkisian didn't do. Let's see if we're going to have all these speedy guys come in. We got Kendrick Law, we got Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bonds, we got Aaron Anderson. We got just young talents, young speed all over the place. Jet sweep got to be involved. That has to be implemented. The wide receiver bubble
Wait.
screen.
Pause. A what? A jet? What?
Yeah, we haven't seen that all year. It's so what happens
Oh,
in a
you
jet
mean that
sweep?
thing that
I'm just
that Jalen Waddle and Ardarius Stewart used to run with and actually be very successful? Oh yeah, that
yeah,
play.
yeah. That play when you use actual wide receivers who have speed to get to the perimeter, not a Jermaine Burton who's running a 4.5, 4.6 and scared to take his. Which I'm gonna give Jermaine Burton one kudos on the hitch play, and I believe he accidentally made the play. He just kept his legs moving. But if
He
you look,
almost dropped the bat ball too.
yes, Steven from Steve from Huntsville, bro, Sean from Huntsville. Look, and I think me and him was laughing in the chat about it when he made that first down play. That man's eyes were closed for a majority of that play. As soon as he got wrapped up, his eyes were closed. He was fumbling with the ball still. It was just by happenstance and by the grace of God that
Amen.
a free safety or a linebacker didn't come and clean that play up with some type of intensity. He probably would have fumbled, And we fought Kamler too for fumbling a lot, but that guy makes some strong, like
He
some real
can.
crazy effort plays, man. He
Can.
makes some effort plays, and you can't fault him. Sometimes protecting the ball is primary, but when you have a team that's pressing for plays like Alabama offense has had to do, you kind of live with that with Latu because everything else he does, he's not a great pass blocker, but he is physical when he has a chance to put his hat on somebody. He's going to catch the ball when he's open. He's going to give you 100% effort every time. But I was glad to see Robbie Oots, in on the run game. Like that was big for me.
Yeah,
It should have been implemented. So
absolutely.
yeah.
And before I kind of get to this question, do you feel like, and this question's been kind of floated out there throughout other shows I've been a part of, and even in Stephen Smith's show, do you feel like since we're not playing for a title for SEC or national right now, is this a time where we need to start experimenting with younger players, getting them more experience, like the wide receivers we mentioned? For me, an Amari Black. What's
Mm,
your take on starting to integrate more of these younger guys who haven't seen the field, Christian Leary,
yes.
uh, to prepare them for next year? Because we really do need to start getting meaningful reps to these guys because they're going to be the face of the team next year.
I'm 100% towards allowing guys to continue to prove themselves. I really believe this is the time. Like in the first 4 weeks is what you expect, with your personnel. When you have the amount of battles that we had coming into this season at those positions, especially wide receiver, we saw some competition on at the cornerbacks position. Um, you give those guys early game time opportunities, and any coach knows that a lot of guys may not be the best practice players. You might not have the best. They might not be the best practice players, but somebody like a Jai Hall, you know what I'm saying? That I believe if Ajayi Hall gets his opportunities earlier last year, if he gets those chances in the game to get in and when wide receivers were struggling with, being the up top player, the jump ball player, I believe he gets those opportunities early. He sticks around and chances himself. His attitude is different. And I think it's just not the culture of the Alabama program anymore. I just don't see it. I don't see guys getting fair opportunities. I don't know how the personnel handling works for each position group, but if I got a Kendrick Law, Christian Leary, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bonds, Aaron Anderson, JoJo Earl on the sideline, Jermaine Burton is not getting more than 10 to 12 snaps a game. Trayshawn Holden, he's a body. He's a strong body too. Give him 5 to 6 snaps a game and give himself an opportunity to create for himself. Ja'Cory Brooks, we talked about him earlier. Yeah, he might be, Butterfingers, but Ja'Cory Brooks is probably the strongest receiver we got right now. And that's sad looking at his inconsistency and his lack of understanding of the offensive concept. He's just I believe a lot of our receivers just don't look comfortable in this offense, man.
No,
and as a wide receiver coach, I feel like I give him a lot of sympathy. I'm kind of partial towards him because I see things that the average fan won't see. I see reads being made out of question instead of certainty. But Kendrick Law was definitely a breath of fresh air. I believe Aaron Anderson is going to be the next true Waddle, and I believe we're going to be able to see JoJo Earl next year be put in an extensive role. Pray he stays healthy, but he's going to be the next guy to be able to be a leader in this wide receiver group. Ja'Cory Brooks is coming back. Both those guys are sophomores. I think we forget that Brooks and Earl are sophomores on the field. So it's one of those things where we have the talent to look forward to. It's just about those guys getting the opportunity. And I think now's the time. I think you give guys like Kendrick Law, Isaiah Bonds, you get a set with those two guys out there because that's speed. Isaiah Bonds is fast. Isaiah Bonds is elusive. I would love to see Aaron Anderson get on the field. He's healthy now. I'm hearing things in the program that Tyler Harrell isn't 100%. Even the game he did get in, he still wasn't 100% healthy. But you see him on the sideline. I don't see him pouting and stuff like that. That's what gives me hope that he's going to stay. He's going to stick around for his opportunity next year. But Martin E. Black definitely needs to be implemented because he's that X factor, H-back, Y receiver that you want that can if we're going to continue to see tight ends trying to stretch the defense, let Martin E. Black do it. A legit 4-4 tight end, let him use the speed, let him use the hands, the wide receiver skill set. So I'm definitely with you on that, Justin.
I appreciate that. HB98, do you think the players from the 2021 through 2023 classes are hungrier? I personally think they are ready to reset the standard, especially along the front seven and wide receivers. Well, as far as the front seven, I absolutely think led by Jaheim Otis, they are hungrier. You can see it in their play. You can see it in their body language. These guys aren't going to wait around for the veterans to do their thing and show that they deserve a spot. They're ready to just straight up take it from them and tell them, sit down, old man. Let me show you how Young Buck does it. But I do get an overall feel that these young guys, first of all, they're offended that the old guys aren't living up to the standard. The one that all my guests are complaining that these guys aren't living up to every week. And some of these, you ready for it? Walmart Bama fans are getting mad because we're acting that way and we're hating. Listen, man, if the current guys, the current veterans on that crew don't understand what the Bama standard's all about, these young guys, they seem to understand it. They do. And they're not going to wait their turn. So, yes, I agree. These guys are hungrier. And you're going to start seeing some people take positions. What do you think, Coach?
I'm once again, I believe Caleb Downs coming in next year, Jaleel Hurley coming in next year.
Start immediately.
Tony Mitchell. I believe if Kool-Aid doesn't show progression this offseason, you don't stop a guy like Jaleel Hurley from getting on the field. That guy's I'm talking about physical lockdown corner and has ball tracking skills. I haven't seen that from a high school cornerback in so long. And then Caleb Downs, his level of knowledge at the safety position, we're going to eliminate. I feel like if we give Devontae Smith, or even if you give if Malachi Moore come back next year, or Branch, if you line one of them guys up at safety with Caleb Downs, put your experience with just natural talent and IQ, put the two guys like that side by side who got range, who can cover range as far as not being on man coverage, but like has the range to cover. You can solidify the top half of your defense. And then you got guys like Curtis Perry, Jaheim Otis, Latham coming back next year. I believe Smith has to come back next year. Tim Smith, he's been a very good spot player. We finally going to have DJ Dale out the way. You know, as much as I appreciate your efforts and things, Dale, you
Boybe
haven't
should
been,
be back.
huh?
Justin Boybe should be back.
Pray he gets healthy, because if that young man can get healthy, he can definitely be the vocal leader, the senior leadership on that defensive line. And then you look at the middle of the defense, we get to have someone in Deontay Lawson that we have high hopes for. You know, he missed a few plays last game, but that's just young. You know, a guy being young.
It is.
But he is there. He's missing tackles because of lack of, fundamentals. We're not going to say because of he's not it ain't like he's not putting his hat in there. He's missing tackles because he's making young people mistakes, not wrapping up. And then you got Sean Murphy coming up. You got what's the other linebacker we just signed this year?
Jihad Campbell.
Campbell. I'm ready to see that guy. That guy, he looks like a edge rusher that can cover, and if he's as aggressive as his film shows, we're going to see some difference in that front seven. So I definitely believe this team. And just looking at the tweets, yeah, we get on these guys talking about social media and stuff, but some people ain't just here to talk. Those two boys coming out of Carver Montgomery, if we can lock them boys in this class, we got, that's the state pride. They're both Bama fans. I know Quay personally. Quay Russo, I know him personally. That's a Bama boy. I don't know what the deal is, why we're playing like he's not coming. If he don't come to Bama, it's because the money is taking him somewhere else. I'm gonna be straight up. He's a Bama boy.
It's unfortunate, man, because money does not always equal best situation.
Exactly. So, definitely, I do see that type of let's restore this. Let's restore it. Let's get Bama back to Bama. In a lot of these young guys. Good question at 6-0.
Hey, yeah, add Jeremiah Alexander to that long rant you just made. The dude's gonna be a beast. Yeah, honestly, with the transfer portal and the type of season we have had the last 2 years, Alabama coaching staff might have a situation on their hands. Players transferring. What do you think? I think we can fix that, but the thing is, as far as the transfer portal, I think these guys are waiting to see what we do in terms of retaining or firing our coordinators. If we make the move that a lot of Bama fans want to see, and we dismiss Bill O'Brien, we dismiss Pete Golding, these guys will have that erase everything that's happened up to this point and give you full reign to prove yourself to be on this field. I think if they feel like they have a genuine shot to show that, hey, you're going to buy into what they're bringing, I don't think they all jump in the transfer portal. Now, will some of them do it? Yeah, it's just bound to happen. I mean, it happens every season, but I feel like the number of guys departing will be limited based on the possibility of letting go Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding.
Yeah, man, and I'm right there with you again, bro. Like, I feel like guys like Christian Leary, Shabazz Preston, I saw those names thrown out there. I feel like they, depending on if Bill O'Brien is going to be the head of that offense as far as calling plays, I feel like a lot of them are going to start making their decisions soon as the season over. I feel like Alabama, the brand and the standard that Nick Saban has set up, has established his time there while he's been there. It causes guys who respect the game of football and respect the University of Alabama. It causes them to kind of wait it out and kind of see, okay, can Coach Saban deliver on his promise that he made me when he got me to sign here? And I think that's where guys are sitting at right now. Especially, we know these kids, they pay attention to the media. It's not like times past when Coach Saban could take the cell phones from them, because now they're a business now. The NIL has made college football players their own business. That's another aspect of playing a college football that hasn't been an issue publicly, in the past. So they have to conduct themselves as businesses. Bryce Young is not only a football player, he's a business now.
Yep.
Will Anderson is a business now. So these guys have to make business decisions. And you got a guy like Christian Leary with that type of talent, I remember when Christian Leary signed, this is the next Jalen Waddle. And we saw him in the spring game. We saw the short guy be able to go up and attack the ball in the air like Jalen Waddle. We saw the speed get to the edges. We saw him be able to stretch the field. Why he hasn't got his opportunity? I honestly believe it's personnel handling. And if what I'm being told is what's happening, meaning Bill O'Brien has his sets with his personnel already mapped out, and you don't have the wide receiver coach and Holman Wiggins being able to say, okay, I know I coach this guy every day. This is who I know can run this route the best or run this concept and give us the best results. If that's what's happening, we probably won't see just players leaving. We might see a guy like Holman Wiggins take a better pay for the same position, or wide receiver / co-offensive coordinator, with that glorified title, co-offensive coordinator somewhere, and see him leave, because it's not him that's holding the wide receivers back. I don't
I
look at the
agree with that.
product. Look at the
He's
product he's
handcuffed.
put
He's
out.
handcuffed.
And even the running backs, man, like Miller. I see Miller finally out there getting in practice, and I see him on special teams giving a lot of effort. Like a guy like that, do we bail on him and go with the two guys that we know can be day one starters, and Justin Haynes and Richard Young? Do we allow a guy like that with that type of value to go? Because I don't believe Roydell Williams is leaving this year. I believe Jace can go. But for his opportunity to be the premier back, I think he comes back for his senior year. Jahmyr Gibbs probably gone, probably gone. He already had the draft stock coming in. So it's just those business decisions having to be made now on the college level, and the NIL and the transfer portal does not help us engage in those situations. So my hope would be that Tyler Harrell and a Christian Leary stick around, a Shabazz Preston stick around. Maybe we can take Miller leaving, and because we got two guys coming behind him, and you kind of play that, pick your poison game. Let one go to game two, see what the next two are about, and we are reestablishing something. Miller may just go and thrive somewhere else. He might be what's my guy, Alvin Kamara. He might be the next Alvin Kamara of Bama, or even Jerome Ford, who was just playing at Cincinnati, Like it just happens in the Alabama running back room. Yeah.
Hey, quick shout out, Young Man of Steel. Thank you for the super sticker, the $1.99. Greatly appreciate your love there. Hey, you mentioned two names. I think you kind of got ahead of me. We're talking about guys transferring out, but I think too, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If we retain Bill O'Brien, we're also in jeopardy of losing Justice Haynes and Richard Young. Because I believe that Justice Haynes and Richard Young are looking at how backs are being utilized under Bill O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a premier guy, especially with the pedigree of these two gentlemen have coming in, I'm not coming to university just to get 15 carries shared with two other guys. I'm coming to be the guy or be one of two guys who get utilized very often. So, but that's another thing to take in consideration, Bama fans.
Facts.
If we retain Bill O'Brien, we could be losing some talent from this class.
And
we'll retain the quarterbacks, but guys, if you haven't seen film of Richard Young or Justice Haynes, shame on you. You need to go stop right now. Well, actually, after the show,
yeah.
Please go and watch film on them. But
I mean, two backs who are virtually the same. When you talk about style of running, I think you give the physical side to Richard Young. He got that different style of running in him, because that Florida's running back style is different. I don't care. You can go anywhere in the world, and I mean in the country, and you're going to see a style of running backs from your Alabama guys, your Georgia guys, your Texas guys, your California guys. You very rarely get a product from the Midwest, but those Florida running backs are something different, man. And he has the twitch over my guy Justice. That's probably the only difference in those guys, the little difference in Twitch. But you got two backs like that are coming in as as a Miller. I don't stick around and wait for that to happen. As a Miller, and then as a Miller, I see Emmanuel Henderson name being thrown in the chat. The guy came in as a athlete. He was recruited as a running back, but he was an athlete in high school. So him playing wide receiver and running back, I think he kind of finds his way in this offense. With a new coordinator, he finds a way to still be an X factor, still be a implemented player that if a wide receiver goes down, we have Emmanuel Henderson. If a running back goes down, we have an Emmanuel Henderson. Because as you all know, last year Christian Leary hadn't played running back since middle school. DeMoy Kennedy hadn't played running back since, his freshman year of high school. Like, those guys got thrown into roles, and we didn't have the depth, because of injury. So it's good to have guys like Emmanuel Henderson being able to gain that confidence as a wide receiver, but knowing that he got recruited as a running back, still be able to rely on him to, maybe have to step back into that role. But we have too much talent, chat, and that's the downside of being at the top of recruiting. You're going to bring in the best guys every year, and not everybody is going to stick around and wait their turn. You kind of live with the punches. That's why you continue to recruit at a high level, because guys are going to fall off. They have to make the business decisions, and you're gonna hear from Coach Saban, as he always has been. He's always in the best interest of his players, and if players don't take off from day one like they're hyped up to be, or they don't catch it in the middle of the season of their first year, or they can't get it their second year, he encourages guys to look for better decisions, better positions. Or if you're going to stick it out, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work harder. But right now, you're not at the front. You're not at the you're just not the lead guy. But if you stick around, yeah, your opportunity comes. You're going to have a chance to prove yourself. Because I'm big on, you may not be the best practice player, but some players they thrive under those lights, and I believe we have a lot of those guys sitting on the bench.
Absolutely. Next question comes from Corey Lewis, and I want to combine it with another question from way back in the chat. Do you guys feel that both coordinators will be let go? And how I want to combine it with a previous chatter. Coach Mook, I'll throw in the additional, if you feel like they're both going to be let go, who do you feel like the replacements are going to be? And after I hear yours, I'll give mine.
I honestly believe, and this is just we're talking about history of Coach Saban and how he's handled coaches. Bill O'Brien is an obvious problem. I think Coach Saban sees it. I think he's allowing Bill O'Brien to kind of dig himself that hole, or create his way out. Because the second half, the way the offense was ran was more of a Coach Saban type, play calling, where he would shut Lane Kiffin down and Steve Sarkisian down, and force them to run the ball. We saw that with Bill O'Brien, and it's not saving his job; it's just saving the season, saving the morale of the team, saving the state of the program. And I feel like Bill O'Brien knows he's on his way out. I feel like he knows whether it's by a head coaching offer or by just being let go, he knows he's on his way out. Now, Pete Golden, I feel like he sadly gets to stay, man. I'm so sold on this loyalty thing with Coach Saban. Pete Golden has been with the program for so long, as many years as a grad assistant, moved his way up to position coach, whatever his progression was. And honestly, that's a bad move, because Coach Saban is really adamant on moving into the CEO management role instead of implementing implementing Coach Saban style coaching on that defensive side, and I feel like that's why Kirby Smart and Georgia are thriving right now, because Kirby, he may not be labeled defensive coordinator, but Kirby Smart is the defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know Kirby Smart is calling the defense. We know what he's constantly engaged. You don't see you see Coach Smart sending more signals in than you see their defensive coordinator. Is it what's the guy's name? It's not Lanning. Is it Dan Lanning? It's not
Dan Lanning is a coach now at Oregon. He was last year.
Whoever their coordinator is, you don't Schumann? Is it Schumann? I don't know.
It's Schumann.
Yeah, so like you don't see Schumann. He's more talking to his linebackers more than anything, than he is making a lot of the overall defensive play calling. So I would love to see both go. I would love to see them both go, especially Bill O'Brien. I could live with Pete Golden being demoted to linebacker coach,
or just recruiting coordinator,
or recruiting coordinator, or off-field analyst, Butch Jones style. So I could live with that, but definitely need a new look on the coordinators at Bama.
Absolutely. In regards to my answer, I don't see how you retain Bill O'Brien after this year, and I really don't feel like you need to retain Pete Golding. I'll give my choices as to the replacements. First, Sean, you're talking about Kendall Briles. I think he's going to be looking for a head coaching position at this point. Yes, you'd love to have him bring instant explosivity to the offense, but I don't see him making a lateral move. He's going to be a head coach. But in regards to the offensive coordinator, my first guy right off the top, Garrett Riley. You see what he's doing at TCU. Amazing things. I watched a little bit of it last night. You also look at Charlie Weiss Jr. He's doing some things at Ole Miss, like what he's doing. Joe Brady's always been a guy who has been on my short list. So any of those three guys, defense. First of all, I just want to go ahead and throw it out there, guys. DeMeco Ryans doesn't come to Alabama.
He's not. And I'm honestly getting aggravated seeing that, man.
I got a caveat. The only way DeMeco Ryans comes to Alabama is if you give him a blank check, but also say, DeMeco, you are the coach in waiting.
Yep. And that's the only way. And we know that that's not Saban's style as far as, and the University of Alabama is not going to do that type of, the alumni is not going to do that. We know that they're not going to, as long as Coach Saban is there, we won't see anybody get a promise that you're next. We won't see that. And I believe that's why guys like Sarkisian and Kiffin left, because they knew that Saban was going to keep pushing and trucking until the wheels fall off. Absolutely. That's just his mentality. And so another name I want to throw in there, man, and
I got mine. Go ahead.
Just for your offensive side, and I want you to think about it. The offensive coordinator over at Arizona, Zach Hill.
Okay.
The guy, he's in a smaller conference and he's thriving with less talent. And the style of play calling that he does is generally in the same area, but it's a lot of wrinkles. That offense is something that kids like to run. That style of offense at Arizona is what kids like to run nowadays. And if you get kids to mentally buy into a system, then you can, it usually unfolds on the field.
Absolutely. As far as my defensive, first of all, before I get to my defensive play possibilities, please stop throwing Dan Mullen's name as an offensive coordinator into it. Listen, the man's a cancer in the locker room. I'm sorry. If you've not been paying attention to his career, he has left a trail of dumpster fires everywhere he's gone. The other side of it is one of the biggest things that Coach Saban is adamant about having from his coordinators is that they are excellent recruiters. What is one thing Dan Mullen hates doing? Recruiting. So, guys, I ain't trying to be ugly.
Travelpreneur said it. Charlie Strong we should have kept Charlie Strong.
But please stop with that talk. Jessica, you're awesome. Hire Marvin Constant. Hell, he gets me so fired up. I'm ready to play. I'm all for having.
No, I'm not. That man about to have our players getting arrested. We is not about to let Uncle Marvin in that locker room. Not yet.
I'm all for it.
He's gonna have to go through some coaching clinics and everything on just player, because we're not in the same style. He would hurt more players' feelings than he would help them, honestly. And that's just
it.
They need it. But this day and age of football and society would put Marvin in a bad light. And I believe Marvin pre-2017 would have been the perfect coach to come in, linebacker or D-line. He would have been the perfect coach for those years we were struggling at those positions before NIL. But now NIL, man, I think even Uncle Marvin knows that he ain't trying to go in there and get caught up in all that mess. He gets to be a fan and talk his mess and and to a certain degree not be held accountable to what he's saying right now. And that's where that's just being real. But skill wise, I think the knowledge he would be great, but his mentality would definitely he'll break some spirits, man. I would love him as my coach, but
absolutely, me too.
Some of these kids, man, we'll be seeing kids turning their jerseys in after the game, bro. Like,
and you'll find out who the real ones are.
Right.
Y'all keep distracting me, man. I'm gonna get to my defensive choices, but first, this is the last distraction.
Right.
DJ Hall, come work with the wideouts. Hey, we had a lot of DJ Hall, pro DJ Hall fans last night in the post game show, and DJ was our guest, of course, last week. If you missed that episode, please go back and watch that. Yeah. That man's name needs to have more respect put on it for what he did at Alabama. I don't think I ever saw him drop a pass, but he gets it. And I talked to him today about that. He is willing and ready to come down right now. Before I get sidetracked again, defensive choices. I have quite a few. Yeah, Schumann is definitely right there. Bo Davis, got to get him back in the fold. We need a Bama guy who understands the Bama culture, what the Bama standard means, and he needs to come back and implement it into these guys. If you don't go for him, guys, Jeremy Pruitt isn't doing anything. I don't know what his status is in regards to the sanctions from when he was at Tennessee. I think we need to investigate that and kind of clear that up and think of him as a possibility. And somebody in the chat has already got ahead of me. Can't talk because I'm excited. Charlie Strong, for the love of God, he was an analyst with us. Why is he not the defensive coordinator? And if none of those guys, Gary Patterson, look what Gary Patterson's doing at Texas, man. Those guys are who I would definitely like to pick from if I had an opportunity.
And I would love to see, honestly, Jeremy Pruitt, he's in a situation that he was previously before we brought him back to Bama. You know, like he's going through a situation where the coaching, his head coaching just didn't work out as a head coach. Bring Jeremy Pruitt back. He was a great defensive coordinator for us. I mean, brought the energy, held the standard, you know, held his coaches accountable. I honestly, and I love my guy, but I feel like we need a little bit more intensity on the defensive line. And Freddie Roach, I love you, bro. I love you.
The linebackers.
Yeah, man. Put him where he can thrive at, being at the linebacker coach and bringing in another defensive lineman coach. You know, bring intensity to that side of the ball as far as your coaching staff. We need energy on the defensive side. Pete Golden is too laid back. He's too shaky, like deer in the headlights looking in those big like I gave him credit for, you know, a lot having the defense ready early in games the past few weeks, but the adjustment, you know, it's not happening fast enough for, you know, game 10 in the season. Like even with Arnold being left one-on-one so many times yesterday, that was confusing to me when the other side of the ball, Ole Miss is running soft man, you know, soft zone. You know, they play soft coverage on our receivers the whole game, and our defensive coordinator can't look at his personnel and say, okay, we're having struggles on this side. Let's combo coverage here. Let's bracket something. Let's force everything to be underneath. Let's allow our corners to keep everything in front of them and just attack the ball once it's in the air. Attack the ball when it's released. Don't attack until it's released. You know, bracket your guy until it's released. Simple concepts not being implemented. You never see Coach Pete in the huddle getting in nobody's, you know, grill trying to, you know, hype his linebackers up. You don't see that, you know. And I think he's just so overwhelmed with being a defensive coordinator. So definitely bring Charlie Strong. I would love to see, and y'all know me, I would love to see a guy like that with a redemption story in that Crimson Tide uniform, man. Especially being a black coordinator, man. I feel like, and I'm not trying to get nothing started, but Kevin Sumlin got screwed, man, over at A&M. You know, and you see what Jimbo Fisher's doing at A&M. Why is Sumlin gone? That bothers me when he's a quality coach. He really brought that program to relevance. He transitioned that program into the SEC and thrived. So he would be a nice name to have around there too. Not gonna lie.
Hey, here's an interesting name from MJF at Dynamite Grand Slam, Joey Jones. That's an interesting name.
That would be different, but I could buy
into
mix-up.
Yeah. I like
Okay.
Joey Jones. Yeah, I can buy
Yeah.
that.
Somebody said Manny Diaz. We're not getting Manny Diaz.
No,
Like some of
no.
these guys that y'all naming in hindsight, yes, that would be awesome. But you got to think who they're coming to coach under, their type of personality. Like Dan Mullen could not survive under Coach Saban. He's not a realist like Sarkisian or he's Lane Kiffin brought character. He was different character. He was a different type of energy than Coach Saban, but he knew when to handle business. Dan Mullen's not handling no type of business no time soon.
be jamming. What about Derek Mason?
Oh, I said that last year. Remember?
Yes, you
I
did.
said it so many times last year. I think Derek Mason and Coach Saban are too much alike, though. That would be two bulls bumping, at it all the time because they both very knowledgeable guys, and I feel like Saban getting in this little CEO mode, Mason a challenging, and I don't think he's trying to have that right now.
One thing I did see in the chat, and I think is an absolute must as far as bringing him back to the fold, and that's a Scott Cochran. From an energy standpoint, got to have that back in the locker room and on the sideline. That's very critical. And say what you will about him. I'm sorry. These science guys aren't doing it that we have as strength coaches right now. And it's very evident on the field, the way that we're getting pushed around, bullied, and folded up. That never happened under Scott Cochran. So I'm all for bringing true strength and conditioning back to the program. Yes, I would love to have Rowan Harper on the the coaching staff, but
You know what?
I
We
think he's
haven't
enjoying
get we
himself at SEC Network right now.
we haven't given T-Rob a fair chance. I feel like Saban still
No,
has his
I
hands
think
in that group too
he's
much, man.
handcuffed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and T-Rob, I'm looking at product T-Rob was producing before he got to Bama. He was taking guys at Miami and just making them look like all American DBs. Guys that we were never hearing about. Steve Smith as a wide receiver coach. We don't need to get rid of Holman Wiggins. What are y'all
I agree
talking
with
about?
that. I agree with that.
Like and Scott Cochran, the reason he left because he wanted to be a coach. He wanted to be a coach, and he's at Georgia right now as a special teams coach. Well, he's not there this year. I don't know if everybody's been following, but he's not there actively coaching this year, because of health problems. And prayers out to Scott Cochran, whatever he got going on. But guys like that, they have been groomed by Saban to make the best decisions for themselves, and that's the reason why he left. I don't think he would come back. And to your point about the strength and conditioning, I think the way of college football, Alabama has always been the most physically imposing team. But towards the end of Cochran's reign, we suffered a lot of injuries in our program. We suffered a lot of preseason injuries, and
yeah, but that was just football related injuries, and unfortunately, a lot of them happened kind of in the same time period. But
I mean, a lot though,
I
man.
can't.
Like for 2 years straight,
I can't
we
hold
can't
that
replace
against
that
them.
energy though. I will say that.
Hey, Randy Smiley, thank you so much for subscribing to our channel.
Hey, appreciate you, brother.
Let's see. Samuel Wilkinson. Can't remember who a former player it was this time. I think it was Marquise Mays, but they showed Bryce leading them boys out pregame, and they ain't as hyped as up as before. Oh, I agree. We already talked about that pregame walking out. Looked like students walking to a library.
It looked like Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Oh.
Like for real. Like that's the type of feel I had.
Vanderbilt has a better record than Texas A&M. Let that marinate real quick.
But I'm saying like the energy. Like we didn't look like a team ready to go hunt. It looked like we were showing up to sign paperwork, and I don't like that. I don't like that.
At a title loan place.
Right. Carl Dunbar's not coming to Bama. I'm sorry, man. I like a lot of these names. It would be ideal to see these names.
Hey, bring Burton Burns back. How about that? Get some attitude on the offensive side of the ball.
And then what we also got to see, guys, the next staff that we bring in at Alabama has to have a reason to stay for more than 3 years. They have to have a reason to stay more than 4 years because Saban is coming into this. He's really embracing this CEO management role as a head coach, which he deserves to be. I mean, Saban is one national championship away from having the most in college football history, at one program. he would have 8. No, it would be 7. 7. It would be 7 at Bama, and 8 total as a head coach in the college football. So, I mean, he's trying to. I believe Saban is in another evolution stage of his career, where he's evolving and trying to transition into becoming a CEO, manager, whatever you want to call him, a true head coach, and allow guys to develop under him in their respective positions. And we're just seeing the early stages of it. Just like when we saw our offense transition under Saban. We went from a run heavy offense to a more balanced offense, and now we're basically air raid. We saw our defense change. We went from recruiting the biggest guys that were playing linebacker and defensive end. Now we're getting those edge rushing guys that are expected to do the same, but they got to be able to have the speed to keep up with the running quarterbacks now. The middle linebackers got to be a little bit smaller now, a little bit slimmer, and able to still bring the boom and keep up with these running quarterbacks. So we're just seeing another stage of evolution with Coach Saban, and I think we could calm down based off history, based off Coach Saban's track record. He's always transitioned and been able to evolve. Maybe it's not been the year we wanted it or thought it should be, but he's always ended up on top once all the dust settles. And I feel like the dust is just real high right now in the Alabama program. And once it settles, we'll be back at the top, especially with the coordinators and all that stuff. So
absolutely. We've been here about an hour and a half before.
These people do it to us every week, man. I just looked at the clock and I was like, I'm gonna shut up because
they do. But before we start to kind of wind things down, I want to touch on a few more things in the chat. Brittany B, if Will Reichard leaves this year, which he is, he's a senior. He's going to be in the NFL. Who is the replacement? Where do the special teams go from here? The kicking game is in very capable hands, and Jack Martin. If you've not seen what he can do, I encourage you to go back to watch some A-Days and then also looking at some high school film. The guy is accurate. He is Will Reichard 2.0, and there's not going to be a drop-off. I'm just going to say that right now. And then we also are bringing in a kicker from this recruiting class who's pretty spot on. MJF, a dynamite grand slam. When Joe Penja retired, our offensive line went down. I disagree. I thought Mario Cristobal did a phenomenal job. So did Kyle Flood.
Yes, Kyle Flood did an awesome job, which is I hate that he left and went with Pittman.
Yeah, but as far as when our offensive line started going down, that's courtesy of one departed Doug Marrone. He kind of messed that whole thing up. Doug be gone.
Yes. And so and to piggyback off of that kicker statement, man, I'm glad Joseph Bullivus left. I don't know why he was even still, getting the opportunities. That guy proved who he was last year. And just
he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing at Vanderbilt, though. He's one of the best kickers in the nation.
Joseph Bullivus?
Yep. He's doing his thing at Vanderbilt. And like we talked about earlier, like with Jerome Ford, sometimes it's just about the right fit, going where
lights be too big for some of these guys, man. When you come to Bama, it's not just college football. You're playing at Alabama. You're playing for Coach Saban. Like, that sounds great coming out of high school. I signed with Alabama. I remember coming out of high school and watching Jermaine Fortson pass up an Alabama offer to go to Florida State, and a lot of y'all might not know who Jermaine Fortson is, but him and Julio we were all in the same class, the same graduating class coming out of high school. Jermaine Fortson didn't have near the amount of media attention, nationally, but when they showed up to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, guess who had more catches than Julio? Jermaine Fortson. Guess who had the highlights of that game? Jermaine Fortson. He was, if Julio is to be honest, he could look down on that same sideline and say, hey, that dude was a dog. Jermaine Fortson was a dog. And it's just one of those things where, circumstances put you in different places, but I believe Coach Saban is really in that transition stage, y'all, and that's why I'm not emotionally engaged in these games no more. I just take them for what they are. I watch the games. Look,
I like the fuss.
Just be blowing my phone up. I'd be like, man, babe,
and you ignore me.
I don't ignore people. Like I put my phone down after a while. I put my phone down when Bama plays. between the first and third quarter, I'm usually not touching my phone. If I'm touching my phone, it's because I got a phone call or like I
Yeah,
see it
I get
blowing up.
that, but I do have like a little game day circle of trust of people who
Yep.
I will only talk to. You're
Hmm.
on the list, but the problem is you don't respond a lot of the time.
I'm gonna give you like two
But
or three
I will not
responses,
talk to
man.
anybody else. I will not field questions for anybody, answer any questions about anything. There's like, I think I have three people that
Yeah,
I will trust. Well, I'll have four. I have a group chat with Marvin, Bo, Steve, and Stephen M. Smith.
yeah,
We'll talk. But
yeah.
other than that, and forget it. But
Yeah, me too, bro. I had a little sports talk group I was in Facebook. I don't even go in there. Game day chat. They tried it for last year, and it always turns into a Bama troll session. No matter who's playing, it could be UGA game. If a Bama fan commented, it's Bama troll session. So I left that alone. And like you, man, I have like my safety net of people that can text me or I'll text back. But even them, man, especially a close game. I'm paying attention to the game because I'm taking notes after certain things happen after so many times. I'm like, okay, this is really happening right now. Like Bill O'Brien is still running the 3 hitches with the deep dig with Cam the 2 for the 6-7 time this game. Like that, it just kept blowing my mind. So
I think Bill O'Brien's offense is pass to set up the punt.
yeah, I mean, I remember they got on to Georgia's offense for the longest. Run, 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 kick. Ours
But
is
that wasn't the coordinator's fault. That was Kirby Smart not
yeah,
turning the play calling over to his offensive coordinator. And you see a tremendous difference right now in Georgia's play calling because he's
yes, yes,
truly given the reins over to his coordinator
yep.
and phenomenal job. And look at that too. That pisses me off because they have significantly less talent on their offense in terms of wide receiver than we do, but yet
Mm.
they're
More
able to get to
production.
get to get guys producing like 2-star Lad McConkey, but yet we've got 4 and 5-star guys and we're not.
You know
So
what's happening? You know what's happening while Mr. Reggie is asking me a very important question in the chat, Mr. John Reggie. But I'm gonna say something about the wide receivers. The
we
wide receivers, I honestly believe you get a different coordinator in here. Anybody but Bill O'Brien. I feel like we could bring Gus Miles on, and we would see this offense would look like doggone, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Brian. I even give Brian Daboll credit compared to what Bill O'Brien is doing.
oh, no doubt, no
Eh,
doubt.
I mean, it's just Bill O'Brien. He's the cancer. But to answer Mr. John Reggie's questions, yes, I play the piano.
We
My piano back there is kind of not here, as you can see. It's not here. This is a virtual background that I like to use for my podcast.
Man, you're not supposed to tell people that, man.
Look, this thing. It looks like I could play that thing, and I can play in real life though, man. I can. So yeah, I do play.
Oh my gosh, man. Do y'all get 20 more calls when Bama loses like I do? Absolutely. Not only that, that's when my show benefits greatly.
Yes.
Albeit this show, the Bama Standard definitely does. When we lost to Tennessee, the episode we had with Reggie Ragland and a few other guys, uh, we got 20,000 views. And then this past week when we lost to LSU, I had a clip of Marvin and Bo going on an epic rant. If you've not seen that,
Oh
please
my
do yourself
god,
a favor. It's on this channel. Please go and watch it. It's got 21,000 views.
it's
So
crazy.
yeah,
It's
we do
crazy, y'all.
benefit when we lose, but you know what? I'd rather us win than benefit. So I'm
Facts.
not and I
I don't want to get
advocating.
famous at the cost of Bama not having, not winning. Like let's not do that.
No, no,
Let's
no,
stay on the
no.
top end of this thing, baby.
But yeah, Sean, he's about to go. Got to get the little one to bed. Man, we appreciate you, man. You're one of the OGs in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
chat, man. You've been with us for a good while, so
I,
we
I
appreciate
like
you.
Sean's mindset when it comes to football, man. Even when we have different thoughts, you can see the football knowledge, and that's the type of fans I like to engage with on a consistent basis.
We
Them
might need
them
to
Walmart
consider.
Bama fans that show up and cry all the time, like I never see them in this. Like I've never see them in the football talks. They're only there to talk and whine about what's going wrong. Where's your football knowledge at? Let's talk football sometimes. Let's
Or
stop
they're
being emotional. Let's just talk football sometimes. So I appreciate you, Sean.
hey, Sean. You've been with us for so long. You might want to consider jumping on as a third host.
Facts. Get you a webcam. Get you a little microphone. I'll help you set it up, bro.
But if you have Cricket Wireless as your internet provider, we're not bringing you on.
You see, I came to the main setup today. I wasn't trying to wish no Wi-Fi connection because
I
a hardwire
appreciate
connection.
that.
And let me tell you, this is awesome.
Well, you know what? We've been here for quite some time, and we need to start winding things down. And one of the things I like to do to wind things down, and I'm going to put you on the spot first because you did it to me last time.
I knew it
We're
was
going to
coming.
have our players of the game, offensive and defensive. Coach Smoot,
Uh,
who were your offensive and defensive players of the game? And as always, we're allowed to have a 1A, 1B. Go right ahead, my friend.
I'm on offensive side. I don't have a 1A, 1B. My guy was Jace McClellan, and that was, I mean, obvious. He created the momentum for us. He allowed his offensive line to be effective by, attacking the holes that they were creating, whether it was, a small crease or a split second hole. He attacked it, and sometimes it resulted in 2 yards. Sometimes it resulted in 7 yards, but he gave them confidence by his running style. Defensive MVP. I'm gonna have to go with Brian Branch again, man. The guy just was everywhere once again. The stats might not show it, but the amount of plays being made. And then 1B, 1A is Brian Branch, 1B is Byron Young,
Yeah.
holding it at the front, because I don't know what's been up with Will Anderson, but he's missing a lot of tackles. Like, I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
some people were mentioning in the chat that he's kind of been underwhelming this year, and I think a lot of that was one. Pete Golden doesn't know how to put him in good positions, and you can't really rely on him to out athlete everyone anymore. But then two, he's being double and triple teamed, so that kind of hinders his production, which that means that other players should be feasting right now, but
Yeah,
they're not. But yeah, there's been a couple of games this year where
he's had
Will
the
just sitting
opportunities
hitting.
though, man.
Oh, he had plenty yesterday.
Yeah,
Man, if he
and
would have connected on some of those, dear Lord, drives would have ended. Souls would have been punched out of their body.
and that's so. And I see Jamil Barrows too. I could I just we don't get to see him enough.
One
We don't get
C,
to see.
you have a little one C.
No, I could, but I won't slide it. But he has been steadily, consistently improving and becoming a factor. But definitely Young on defense, and Brian Branch, 1A, 1B.
Brody Lowe. Dallas Turner was trying to end up in the Oxford City jail.
And what that boy, I love
Hey
his
man,
intensity.
hey, that I don't advocate tearing somebody's head off their body, but seeing some kind of emotion, intensity out of a
It
guy, I
felt
do
good.
advocate intensity and emotion. I don't want people getting hurt. Okay, my Coach Smook, I probably should have went first because
Did I take yours?
you did, and I'm not trying to piggyback off of you or mirror you, but the thing is, it's undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
You could say Bryce Young because Bryce does Bryce things, and he's kind of that unspoken always player of the game because he's carried us forever.
Yeah.
But Jace McClellan, man, can't say enough about what he did yesterday, and at the most critical moments, and his toughness. I mean, on that one first down play, he just hit the hole, and he hit everybody that he was looking for contact,
Yes.
and he just kept driving his feet, and he wheeled a pile 5 more yards and got 2 or 3 more yards after the first down marker had been reached. I love that intensity, and it fed into the other guys and allowed that further wake up to continue. Very critical. So I got to give it to him. He had a tremendous game, 19 carries, 84 yards, but my Lord, they were well earned, well deserved yards. And yeah, got to give him that. Defense, 1A, 1B, Brian Branch, Byron Young, undeniable. Guys need to be given more props than what they are given. Yes, Will Anderson is that dude. Yes, Dallas Turner is that dude, but good gosh, guys, if you can't say Brian Branch in that same breath as those guys, then you don't understand what's going on. And I got to throw Byron Young in there as well. So, yeah, that's who
can
we
we do
got.
something different just to close the show?
Well, yes,
Who's
but I want you to pop your stuff before we do that. But what do you want to do different?
We have to speak on Hugging Henry one last time. This is my.
Oh,
I'm just playing. Let's not.
No,
I don't
no.
even want to do it. Let's not do it. Let's close the show because we're gonna be
Hey,
here another hour.
folks,
Look, the chat
we
already
do.
getting turned up.
Folks, we do have a segment that I want to introduce this week called Coach Petty, but
Hey,
Coach Smoke didn't want to do it this week.
I didn't because that would have took up an hour just talking about that guy. So let's leave him alone, y'all. He's going after this year. He really believes he's going to be a day 2 draft pick. Let's encourage him. Let's hype him up. Let the media hype him up. Give him all the draft stock, this made up draft stock that they create. Let's push for Hugging Henry to go on and push for his dreams because he's a personality, great young man. You're just not an Alabama football linebacker, man. You're just not what we needed. You haven't showed up for us, and simple as that. Yeah.
Man, it would have been fun to see the segment nonetheless. Yeah. And folks in the chat, if you want to see that segment, I want y'all to tell us a resounding yes, and we will bring it on the next show.
Hey, yeah, man. Look, and I'm gonna have the clip ready for you, man. But
it's gonna be epic. It's gonna change lives. But we have been on extra long, and it's all your fault, people in the chat, because you keep us around.
Right.
We enjoy having your family, and thanks again to everybody in the chat for being so active, so vocal, and you keep us going. So thank you. Before we go, as always, Coach Mook, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want you to pop what you got and tell people how they can find it. What's up next for you?
Oh, man, this is, with the season coming closer to the end, we're channeling ourselves to continue to create content. And like I said, the gaming is the main thing right now. But being a Bama fan has its perks and it has its curses. So anytime I'm live, you'll see comments about Bama football. And I end up talking about Bama football. So you can definitely find me here on YouTube at Coach Smoot. You can find me on TikTok, Coach Smoot, Facebook, Coach Smoot Gaming, and my Coach Smoot page. A lot of comedy, a lot of different things. I'm a content creator, guys. So don't expect just sports. Just looking for a laugh, or you looking to get into watching gaming and stuff. Check me out. But this show right here is what I truly support. TDA. I support Justin and the Justin Riley Network and the Bama Standard. This is what I really support. And so, being that I meet you guys on this platform, I love to try to keep you guys engaged here. I know that this goes on after Coach Smoot, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here as a co-host. So if you just subscribe, follow whatever on those platforms, I would greatly appreciate it. You don't, that's all it requires. It's free, so definitely check me out. And if you're ready, and Justin, he's been able to tune into one of my gaming streams. You want to laugh, man? Catch me in my zone.
Quality entertainment.
Catch me in my zone. I pride myself on bringing entertainment and when I'm gaming, because that's when I'm in my safe space.
You definitely need to check out his Instagram too. Some of the videos he drops.
I'm trying to clean it up, man, because I got a new business venture we're about to launch soon. I got to top some loose ends on it, but I'm gonna definitely clean it up and get some quality stuff on top of what I have out there. So I appreciate you, bro. Like, for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Family. That's what we do for each other. But listen, folks, we definitely enjoy y'all being here. If you hadn't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching the replay, let us know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. We definitely want to hear what you have to say because it means something to us. We're not ESPN. We don't push agendas. We are just like you folks. We're just trying to make it in the podcasting world. But yeah, we got a lot going on as far as the Bama Standard on Tuesday night on Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. The Bama Standard will be live. It's going to be me along with all SEC linebacker Marvin Constant, former 2-time national champion winning and USFL champion winning running back Bo Scarborough, Stephen M. Smith, and common legend Steve Brown, bringing you the best show on the streets right now, regardless of what anyone else says, and also the most politically incorrect show that you need in your life. And also, too, guys, always tune in every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern to the Bama Standard post-game show with Coach Smook and myself. Hey, we're becoming your number one show, your favorite show. Show us why.
For real, man. Like I'm going back and looking at the numbers. Like I've finally been paying attention to it, learning how YouTube operates. And like you guys have this show being exposed a lot because of your likes, because you're commenting. A lot of you are sharing the broadcast. I see a lot of people coming in after commenting. You know, it's a great feeling to be a part of something special like this. And you guys are the reason why it's reaching the heights that it's reaching. And it's only up from here. The more you guys talk about it, the more you guys, speak on it, whether you agree with the points or you agree with the stances we take, it helps us grow. We love the dialogue. We love when people disagree. I love when people disagree with me. I love to hear different points. But I also love when people are on the same page, especially when we're talking about I still haven't received any applications to help pack Bill O'Brien house up. So y'all need to get on top of that. And like I'm accepting all types of help. I'm driving that truck. We do need a bus driver. I will say that I did find a bus, for him and all his help and everything, just to get him on up out of here. Nice little Greyhound, it's the 2011 version, so they got nice heating and everything. So we're gonna get him up out of here, y'all. We're gonna get him up out of T-Town.
Gotcha. Shout out to Logan Keating. We definitely appreciate you being with us
My
as
guy.
always.
What's up, Logan?
What's going on? Love having you a part of the family. Love having all you guys as a part of the family. And you folks, y'all are bringing some questions. If we keep looking at these responses, we're going to be on another hour. We can't do that. If we, hey, folks in the chat, if you want us to bring you on another show during the week, let us know what you think in the comments.
You might need to post a poll, man.
Hey, and be on the lookout for new content this week. Not sure who the guest is going to be this Tuesday. We are working on OJ Howard. Not confirmed just yet, but yeah, stay tuned, man. We're the best show out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
man.
Great show to everybody. This will do it here for the Bama Standard post game show for Coach Smook and me. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll.
That's how you end the show. Yes, sir.
Let's get it.